Hello, my friends and YouTube watchers. Um, this is Josh Starnes, and what we're doing is basically looking at coloring an anemone. Now, anemones normally are bleached, which means they're white and sort of transparent. This anemone has gotten a little bit of a tan from some microorganisms that are brown that live inside of it. And basically they digest them slowly over time, and as long as they have plenty of light, then these microorganisms can grow faster and they can digest them, and it gives it its color. It gives it this brown color, which is mostly at the tips of the tentacles, and then once it gets closer to the base it gets lighter, and the foot is orange. So this is a long tentacle anemone. Now what I've tried previously in my posts is to feed the anemone with silver sides or meaty foods, which has been soaked for a few days in food coloring, something like let's see what it was, something like blue 1 or red 40 or yellow 5, something like that. It doesn't have any additional additives. It worked pretty good. I just fed it to them after about a week, and then it clearly showed some blue coloring when I used the color blue. I want to try some other colors though. I've heard that things like red and yellow can be done, which are nice, but some of my anemones, just based off the lighting that I put on them, will already get a red color as it is right now. Both of my anemones right now, which I'll show you, okay, already have a rose to a red color to them anyway, instead of a brown. You can do that with just the lighting. Okay, now as you can see, this one here, not nearly as much color, but it is branded from the pet store and they don't take very good care of them. So what we're going to do, you see I have a air stone, and that's because anemones they are a live animal, they have to have oxygen, and I don't want to deprive them for any reason because he's going to be in this little bowl for a little while. The salinity is correct, pH is correct and everything, so don't have to worry about him sitting in an unkind environment. Okay, and what we want to try to do is that it's been told that if you put some of the dye in the water before you introduce them to your new tank, that they'll ingest some of it, and by ingesting it, it'll actually dye or color these microorganisms that are on the inside, and they will gain that color. One thing we're not doing today, I just want to reiterate, is we're not injecting it. There are some foreign suppliers that will inject this with literally needles and fill them full of a dyed liquid in a water solution, and it's not good for the anemone. It's horrible. If you can imagine someone just sticking with a big syringe and just filling you up with a colored liquid, you eventually would gain that color, but it's going to come out every orifice it could. So that's the same thing that happens with an anemone. It comes out of its mouth, comes out of its tentacles, comes out everywhere. This way, we're just introducing it in a much more friendly way. It's actually completely up to the anemone whether it keeps its color, because it has a choice to expel these microorganisms if it becomes stressed. So it's kind of a safety feature for the anemone in this little project, is that if he becomes stressed and doesn't like it, he can expel it and he will lose most, if not all, the color. Now what we're going to start doing is just start introducing color. Okay, this is green color. I'm going for green because, well, I think green would be really cool. And it will give some color, if you will, to a tank that otherwise wouldn't have it, because I have a predator tank, and that's where I raise most of my anemones in. And the only way to get them color in there is just to feed them the fish manually. And I got a lot of fish in there that are poisonous, so I have to keep my hands around them and stuff, and I don't know, it just seems dangerous. So what I'm going to do is put about half this bottle in the this small amount of water here. Now I've only entered about 7 drops, by the way. It looks a lot worse than it is. There's around 60 drops, I imagine, maybe more, in this little bottle. So I'm not even putting, I mean, actually it's full. I mean, pretty much it's, you can see it with the level where it was before, so I've only put a few drops in there. So, and honestly, when you kind of move it around a little bit, it makes it look like it's more in there than it really is. But I did pick up some from the store that basically was for like cake mix, and I didn't want to use that because it had other additives in it that I didn't feel would be safe for an anemone. Okay, so Again, adding them 1 drop at a time. You can still see enemies in there. He's not reclusing up or anything like that. If they feel threatened or anything like that, they will recluse up. Okay, so luckily they've not done that. And the next step of this project will be to use the same exact dye, which is the dye I've used before, and soak some silver sides in it, and then feed them the colored food as well. That way they'll be ingesting it and also breathing it, kind of, sort of. And see if we can make this guy green for cheap. Just 1 drop at a time here. Should be just putting 1 drop at a time. See if I'm about close to halfway. Okay, now given the amount that's in here versus the amount I just put in, that is, if you was to put some vinegar in it, and this was to be hot water, and there was about half as much water in here, that's about what you'd use to dye an egg. So hopefully this anenome will pick some of this up. I'm going to go ahead and put the cap back on this little guy. Okay, just to show you what I'm using here. Alright, assorted colors. Okay, food color, egg dye. It's kind of universal because it does not have any extra stuff in there. I kind of like this camera. It's really good at close-up. Basically, we're going off the egg dyeing instructions as far as, the ratio to water, so it gets a good color to it. Normally when you dye an egg, though, it ends up coming out pastel and not really a strong color. Now, this would pretty much, I think, be using just about 3/4 of a bottle, and that's for cake mix. And that's going to be a very bold color. Right now I'm going kind of in between. I'm going to monitor it. These are the ingredients, by the way. It's only just water glycol, and in this particular case, some kind of, I guess green must be the blue and yellow. So yellow 5 and blue 1. Alright. Okay, anyway. So, little dude seems to be doing fine. He's not, now what happens is when these guys, they're very sensitive, very, very sensitive to water quality. And if you even so much as, in my big tank for example, do a water change, if a couple of fish poop at once, I know it's kind of crazy sounding, I'm not trying to be funny, but seriously, if they do anything that messes with the water quality, the anemones are pretty sensitive to it. And if they don't like it, they will withdraw up into a ball inside of the foot and close their orifice off so they're not breathing it. And so, I mean, I've raised several anemones, and I have actually, you can see 2 of them doing quite nicely. He decided he wanted to get really close to the light today. These guys can move around. They can walk around literally. And he decided he wanted to be next to the new pump. I just started this pump today, and I guess he decided to climb the wall. And the other guy, he's right by the inlet. Now, judging based off these guys moving close to getting flow, that means they're probably getting sensitive to the water quality. And it's probably about time for a water change, or to change out my biopellets, get them moving again. I normally just use a refugium for anybody who would like to know that. So I just want to take in mind that the safety of the animals is very important to me. That's why I want to watch it and document how it reacts. But I wanted to actually check the ingredients and things like that to make sure that they're okay for marine life. The things that they would use to dye these things normally are horrible for it. But we'll see if this guy actually takes in some of the green material. And I imagine it'll be limited. It won't be like bright neon or anything like that. But at the same time, we're going to feed it to him as well, which has had proven success before. Within a week of about 3 to 4 feedings of silver sides that have been soaked in it, it does die the microbacteria that's inside of it, and then you can see it. But what I'm going to try to do here is try to see if he'll just voluntarily do it instead of me having to trick him, because they do breathe a little bit. pulling water in and out of themselves. So just in case no one knew that. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and conclude this video for right now. I'm going to pick up another video probably an hour or two from now, okay, and watch the progress. You'll be able to see if he's withdrawn or if he's nice and happy and looking for some light, stuff like that. I won't get him close to the light in the tank because I don't want him to be deprived at all.